Hey there, it's Miss Michelle. I am coming to you today to tell you about our class that for this week. And again, if you remember last week, we start off with 2 minutes worth of drawing time, where it's one line, one continuous line where we don't lift our pencil, and we follow the object all the way around for 2 full minutes, and then we stop when my alarm goes off, and then we go back in and we shade it before 15 minutes. I won't bore you with the 15 minutes on here because that's just not fair. But what I will do is I will time the first 2 minutes, and then I'll probably talk through a little bit of it. And then from there, the next 15 minutes, you can pause the recording, go on, fill it in to the best of your ability, shade it, all of that, and I will leave the image there. And then what we'll do is we'll go into today's assignment. Okay, so go ahead, and what you'll need for this assignment is a piece of paper, a pencil, and an eraser if you need it. If not, that's fine too. It's all part of the process, like all the different the lines and strokes and everything. It's all part of the process. I'm not looking for perfection. I'm looking for concentration and just doing your best. Okay, so all right, here we go. Ready? All right, so today's object is a tomato, and I want you to draw this part right here, including with the shadow, and just draw the tomato. And when you take your line, draw it from however you think, but it needs to include and these are, hold on. If you just started drawing, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to fix that a little bit. So so I include the shadow and include the outline of the tomato and the little the leaves on the tomato. Okay, and to try and get the lines on the tomato and everything. All right, so are you ready? I'm going to start the timer. It's a 2-minute timer. So here we go, and go. And as you're drawing it out, as you're like trying to find the lines and everything, make sure that you do the line completely around the tomato, as well as all of the shadow. You don't have to get the marks on my board because that's not really part of it. But what I am also interested in seeing you create is you see the white parts where the lighting is, and I'm just going to point with my pencil real quick. Like, see where the lighting is there and there. So go ahead and include that to the best of your ability. And remember, we are just looking at the object. Like, your eye should be here the entire time, not looking at your paper. It is one solid line. So where you got to choose where your line is going to start, your line should probably end in that same space. So there's no lifting, no. And this takes time, so be patient with yourself. I know that sometimes it's like, wait a minute, what are we doing? Just do your best. And you've only got about 30 seconds left. So right now would be the time to add in any detail. Again, you're still looking at the tomato only, not looking at the paper, and following through with the little leaves and the contours of the tomato, that part of it. So, and we've got 7 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. So now what you're going to do is you are going to look at this piece, and I want you to add the shadow. So as you're adding shadow, this part right here should be the darkest part of your tomato. And the reason that is that the light source is coming from here, right? So this is where all the light is, and then this is where all the dark is. So when you I'm gonna take a screenshot of that. So when I see it, oh yeah, and I'm actually gonna also ask you to bring this to me when we have class next week so that I can see what it looks like. But for the next 15 minutes, probably more like 13 minutes now, go ahead and draw it out and fill in all the shading and everything. And so, like I said, make sure that this is dark, and we're only using a pencil at this point. And so we're not using any color. Just trying to get this. I like the contrast and the lighting there, but I want to see if you can capture that with just your pencil. And again, does not have to be perfect. Just do your best. Okay. All right. So I'm going to pause and I'm going to change this. I'll be right back. Okay. So here we are. We are done drawing out our tomatoes. And so I want to kind of change the conversation. If you could grab another piece of paper, just regular white paper. And I just want to talk to you for a little bit. So as you were filling in the space with the tomato and doing the shading and everything for like with the leaves and for the shadow and all of that, that's called filling in space, right? And so there are plenty of different ways to fill in space, and I want to share with you some of those now. So these are lines that are, just ways to fill up space. They're, as you're looking around the house and looking at different things, you're always going to see contours and outlines of different things. And so diagonal lines, vertical lines, and horizontal lines are some of the ways that you fill in space, and that you do the contour stuff, like the diagonal lines of the leaves on the tomato here, the lines that you had here on the sides to use for the contour of the tomatoes. So diagonal lines, let's just kind of refresh. Diagonal lines are lines that go diagonally to the left or right, or to the left or right the other way, that type of thing. So vertical lines are ones that go up and down, like a tree, like the door frame, things like that. Horizontal lines are like the top of the table, when you go to the beach where the sea meets the air or the sky. Those are horizontal lines, right? So now we're going to go into other different ways to fill in space. So this sheet is actually on part of on the same website, or not the same website, but the same area where this video came from. And so what you're going to do is have your parents or whoever's helping you out right now print this out. And it is in French. Don't worry about the French parts, but make sure that you put your name up here. And what we're going to do is we're going to take, and I'm going to do a couple of it with you with my black pen. And so we have two main boxes, and then they have like squigglies inside. And there are different ways to fill in that space. And so if you were to look at, so let me show you this real quick. If you were to look at like this top space where there's circles, that's what we're going to do. We're actually going to put circles here. And as we do the circles, we're going to make sure that we touch the top line and the bottom line. And as the line goes down, we're actually going to fill it in and make the circles bigger. And I want you to think about, as you're doing this, think about different ways that you fill in space. So like, for example, if you were at the aquarium, or even if you have an aquarium at home and you have your own fish, there's bubbles that, because, fish breathe underwater. And so they have to have oxygen in their water. And so if you were to draw some fish, sorry, if you were to draw out some fish, you would probably have bubbles in there somewhere, right? Okay, so that's my first line. And then the next line is back to the vertical lines, the ones that go up and down, top to bottom, or bottom to top, however you want to draw it. I don't care. Just as long as you know that the lines are going from here to here, okay? And again, you're going to do this all the way across. And think about where you see vertical lines in your life, at your house, when you're out and about. When you think about that, if you have time, or if you can, if you have a little bit of space, feel free to write over here off to the side. Circles make me think of fish, so you could write down fish, right? Or these vertical lines make me think of doors, right? And so then that way, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to bring this back to class on Friday when we meet again, back to our next class. And like, so the third one is spirals. And so as you're doing the spirals, right, make sure that you're going top to bottom, and that you're touching, not that you're going top to bottom, but that you're actually touching both lines. That's important. So here, let me show you. Okay. All right. And so and they don't have to be perfect. We're just kind of doing the best that we can. So all the way around. And so if you were to think about these kinds of things, where would you see them? I have a neighbor who has really long, beautiful spiral hair. So it makes me think of her hair and how it spirals. It also makes me think of, like, if I were to go to the beach, what the shells look like. I've seen candy out there that looks like shells, and so it also has the spiral. Sometimes you see iron gates that have the spirals. So I'm going to put shells over here, right? And so then we go back to the zigzag, 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 zigzag. Right, and then the next one is a cross. So I can imagine where you guys think about when you think about the cross. Maybe different places in your home, maybe when you go to church, maybe you or someone you know has a necklace. Maybe you think about Jesus on the cross. Right? And then this one is like a almost kind of like a mountain, I guess, or it's really part of the letter N without the first part, without the line down and then over. It's just like a lump, not a lump, but kind of a cartoon mountain, if you will. Right? You see what I'm doing? So that's what I would like for you to do. So like these lines are diagonal, going back. So make the lines diagonal all the way across. Right, and think about diagonal lines. When you have diagonal lines, where would you see those diagonal lines? Would you see them on a gate or on, I don't know where I would see diagonal lines. I'm trying to think. I would see them, like if you see a loaf of bread that's kind of leaning, it's a loaf of bread, but it's out of the bag and it's all leaning that way, you would see diagonal lines. Or, and then what about these parts? This looks like the bottom part of an umbrella, right? So you see how it's all coming together. So these are different ways that you can fill up space on a piece of paper, okay? So let's go down to the next set. And so we have arrows, right? And you also have, so we can do the arrows all the way across. We can do so the arrows, like for me, if I think about these kind of arrows, I'm typically driving. I'm going down the road and I am, there's a sign that says, you know, keep going this way. Especially like if I'm in a city that I'm not familiar with, or like these are loop-de-loops. I call them loop-de-loops. I don't know what you would call them. But again, we are touching the top line and the bottom line. So we're coming all the way up and all the way down. Okay. And then here we're going to come over and we're going to do diagonal the other way. And so still touching the top, still touching the bottom. So diagonal this way, this makes me think of maybe the bread going the opposite direction, or, you know, it also makes me think of sometimes when I'm in a hotel or somewhere where there's, you know, even if you're doing laundry and you have a stack of towels and the towels kind of fall over, right? Don't they look like that? So I've got those two, and then we've got this part. This part makes me think of candy canes. So we're doing the next one. Again, we are going all the way across. And please think about different places where you would see shapes like this and write them off to the side. So like this is candy cane. These are towels. This is driving. This is an umbrella. This is bread. These are cartoon mountains. This is a church. So the zigzag, I would see that, or on clothing when they have a zigzag stitch on the inside. So this is a bunch of L's, like connected L's. Right? And so then you have the arrow down. Maybe like push this key on the computer. Right? All right, and then you've got this part. So this is a computer, push down, right, and then here you've got the loop-de-loops upside down. Where do I see this? I feel like I see this at the carnival somewhere, but I don't know where. I don't know. Anyway, so you can come up with your own places. I want you to think about places where you would see these different shapes and write them down off to the side. Where would you see giant X's or even little X's? Right? And where would you see this type of? And we are almost done. All right, so we've got all of that. So write down over here off to the side where you would see those kind of things. And if you're inspired to come up with new ones that you haven't seen here, I want you to flip your paper over, draw out your own square, do the lines, however, right, however they work for you, and come up with your own and show them to me in class next time we meet. Okay, so that is it for today. Thank you for watching, and I will see you at next class. All right, thanks, bye.